Buddy, it is December 23rd, 2023. I'll talk about me tomorrow in the live, but not tonight. I just don't want to get into it. But yes, Never Lose Truth won. They terminated. So, hi, Analog Synth Player and Lindy London and TFL at War and Willow. Hi. Rick Yorkin, Andrew Cruz. Hello. D. Moore. Oracle 11, hello. Thank you, Marty. Yeah, well, what I don't understand is there are people who are posting things that I'm surprised they never get taken down. And, well, here I am. So, one more channel left on YouTube. Hypocrites Matrix, Haskasan, OK2, Cecilia Amorati. Hi. Cynthia and Marty, thank you very much. Much, much appreciated. So let's just get into it. Yeah. This apparently is in Arizona. Natural? Does this look like a natural cloud? Does, how about from up above? It's quite remarkable that we don't have more people questioning what they see in the sky. I don't remember seeing this when I was growing up. Waking up every day in December with streaming eyes and nose is not normal. Neither are these skies. Windsor, UK. No, I'd say not normal. Not normal. You get 100% agreement from me. Not normal. I don't know, was my mic on? I don't even know. So, Yeah, not normal at all. So, Ocala, Florida, mass shooting in a mall. Boy, we're having a lot of these.
Please go that way. Please go that way. Please go. Come on. Baby.
Hating themselves,
Yeah, it was insane.
shoes, everything. Holy crap. This is
One guy's
nuts.
out here and got shot.
They already got a guy out here that's getting ready to get on a stretcher, being shot, everything. This is crazy.
Normalized. Not too long ago, people would be, oh my God, a mass shooting at a mall. Not anymore. Why? Because these shootings are just taking place all over the place. And here, I was sent this, I think Marty sent this to me. They were laughing. Witnesses to deadly Kroger assault share tragic moments. Columbus, Ohio, friends of a man who died after being brutally beaten in front of a South Columbus supermarket, now speaking out about the crime that took the life of a father of 3. Yeah, well, this seems to be happening an awful lot. Oh, wow. Our country, 'tis of thee. And the censorship, it's not only just going to get tighter as we go along, but it is going to get more draconian, more tyrannical, locking people up.
It's time to show up for Youssef Attal. The Algerian footballer faces a year in prison and a €45,000 fine for his solidarity with Gaza. The Algerian footballer has been suspended by his club, Nice, for a post he made on social media following the bombardment on Gaza. The post was condemned for being offensive to Jewish people, and Attal immediately deleted and issued an apology, stating that peace is an ideal in which I strongly believe, and denouncing any form of violence. Attal was suspended by his club and investigated for justification of terrorism. He was later charged by French authorities for inciting religious hatred and glorifying terrorism. Many other players are also facing backlash for their pro-Palestine solidarity. Moroccan player Mezraoui was harassed by German media and faced backlash from Bayern Munich. Karim Benzema, after proclaiming his solidarity with Palestine, was accused by France's Minister of the Interior of ties with the Muslim Brotherhood. This double standard comes at the same time that Arsenal's Alex Zinchenko proclaimed his support for Israel as they continue to bombard and genocide Palestine. Youssef Attal now faces imprisonment, a hefty fine, and an end to his football career. This also reinforces the absolute double standards that we are seeing around Israel and Palestine support. The claims that supporting Palestine is glorifying terrorism, and yet Israel is actually committing war crimes and acts of terrorism, and they go unpunished, not only by world media, but also by world politicians. Free Palestine.
Too bad we can't get anything stopped, right? Substack. Oh, wow. Substack's Nazi problem. Apparently there's a Nazi problem on Substack. Huh. I wasn't aware of this. This is a writer on Substack. I spend a decent amount of time on the site. I publish there myself, and I follow a good number of writers there. I initially went on because of the promise to allow free speech on topics that had been actively censored on other social media platforms, and I have stayed because of that free speech, but also because of the quality of discourse there. It tends, excuse me, it tends to be much more civil and thoughtful than on other platforms. Yeah, but now I am told by one Jonathan Katz of The Atlantic, that there is a Nazi problem on the platform that I should be concerned about. I've also been asked to sign a letter condemning not only the Nazis themselves, apparently there are 16 of them, but Substack management for platforming and monetizing these folks. So here's my message to Jonathan Katz and all the others who are concerned about the freedom of some people to express noxious and offensive views on Substack. This is my heartfelt message to them, and I mean it with all the respect and goodwill I can muster. Go to hell. Yeah. So, the entire internet will be taken over by artificial intelligence and the programming, the algorithms. We will not see anything that even resembles truth. And it's coming. It's already begun. And here, the EU commissioner at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Unbelievable.
Twitter, with his freedom of speech absolutism, we are the protectors of freedom of speech as well. But at the same time, we cannot accept, for instance, the illegal content online and so on. So our message was clear: we have the rules which have to be complied with, and otherwise there will be sanctions. I think that the confidence has been weakened, and I had quite high level of confidence when it comes to Twitter. I have to say that we worked with knowledgeable people, with the lawyers, with the sociologists who understood that they have to behave in some decent way, not to cause really big harm to the society. I always felt that this notion of responsibility was there. So this is what I don't feel from Elon Musk personally, but we will see. He was invited to the European Parliament. I wonder whether it will happen.
Well, Elon Musk is not the hero that an awful lot of people think he is. Listen to these people. The abject arrogance, tyrannical arrogance that they have. Well, we also protect free speech. Really? We have to protect society. We have to have decency on the internet. And the only way that we can do that is by getting rid of anybody that speaks truth. And Americans are largely maxed out when it comes to the amount of debt they have accumulated. Americans had surpassed a combined total of over $1 trillion in credit card debt back in August. 3 months later, that had gone up additional $48 billion. And they're still saying the economy is doing very well. Still. Growing up is breaking down at 8 p.m. because you can't afford groceries.
Growing up is having a mental breakdown at the grocery store at 8 p.m. because you can't afford groceries. It's so stupid. And I know I'm not the only one that can relate to this. And for me, I'm a single adult. I don't have any other mouths to feed. I don't have a significant other. I have to feed my cats. And that's a lot of money too. But the fact that is, I had to go to the grocery store. I haven't gone grocery shopping in probably 6 months. That I had no food at all at my home. And now I'm freaking out because I spent $112. That's not okay. That fucking sucks that I'm feeling like I can never financially recover from $112 in groceries. And I didn't even get anything. I got bare essentials. I should have gotten more fruits. I should have gotten more veggies. But what the fuck? This sucks. And then the fact that I got taken off of food stamps now because I can make too much money, but I don't have enough to cover anything.
Well, this is how an awful lot of people are feeling these days. Here, this is a food bank queue in London every Saturday. Record amounts of people needing food assistance in London now with out-of-control food inflation.
The crisis is just getting worse. Look at the public is extremely alone. Look at the queue of people waiting for the food bank to open, let alone another areas of the country.
Well, the lines are getting longer everywhere. After telework surge, federal buildings remain largely empty. Isn't that interesting? More than 2 years after the Biden administration called on federal agencies to create plans to bring employees who teleworked during the COVID pandemic back to the office, the vast majority of Washington, D.C.'s federal buildings are still sprawling expanses of empty, echoing hallways and offices. In fact, 17 of 24 federal agencies use an estimated 25% or less of their headquarters, the office capacity. So we have a majority of federal employees working from home. I find that interesting. Social Security Administration and the Housing and Urban Development offices were both at 7% occupancy. Small Business Administration, 9%. Office of Personnel Management notched in at 12%. Transportation Department, 14%. These are occupancy percentages. The General Service Administration, which manages all federal buildings, was operating at 11%, as was the Department of Agriculture. What's going on here? I don't think everybody is working from home. Is AI operating? Have a lot of people died that perhaps we don't know about? And yeah, will symbols be their downfall? Nothing will be their downfall unless more and more people not only wake up, but take action against these people. So this was the former head of the IMF. Oh, and what is she now? I can't even remember. Christine Lagarde. Is she running a central bank? Look at this. Look at these. This is what she's wearing. Baphomet. 666. Well, it couldn't be more obvious, but people, either they don't care or they're really not much into the obvious. So I'm going to link below to JWTV's video here. And I think a lot of people are getting frustrated with the apathetic response, in the awake crowd. So I'm just going to play a few minutes of this, but hell, if my channel goes down, this one, I have no more YouTube channels. And then I'm just going to go to Rumble, do the best that I can for the time period that I'm still around.
Strange no one's told you this about this AI human brain computer. Listen, what you're seeing is a nanorobot that's going to be linked into the network X that is quickly approaching. And this is for the survival of the species. So this is going to be highly important. So if you don't want to hear it, then get out of here. It doesn't matter at this point because most people don't hear it anyway. Like I said, I get tired of making these videos, but at the end of the day, I know that I have to do it when it comes down to the survival of everything that we know. Network X is globally, something that's driving industry that is in the neuromorphic network. And what is a morphic field? It is the energy that surrounds our bodies. All of us have this around us, this force field. You can call it the sixth sense. But now this computer, this hybrid computer with human brains in it, is going to be using exactly that. Is going to be tapping into that field. And now we move into a phase of whether you want to survive this or you don't. And we got information on that here. But like I said, if you don't want this, you don't want this knowledge, you're scared easily, get out of here. This is for people who actually really are ready to prepare for this scenario, and you all should be. So let's tune this in, and we're all this community here connected in this crazy time. This is the strange thing that no one's told you about this hybrid brain supercomputer. If you're into the deep depths of the strangeness, then you need to listen to this, because of what this supercomputer is operating on changes everything. Now it fires up in 2024, and they're going to do it in April. It'll be operational. And they have named it Deep South's IBM, which obviously the Nazis had the IBM computers that did a lot of classification of society. But moving into this, what is this network operating on? It's called a neuromorphic network. And this computer will be linked to humans. It will be linked to the brain of humans through specific technology that's already been dispersed, that we will tell you, obviously, how to get rid of. Now, the thing is we've moved into a new phase, and this is what this computer can do. And it says scientists are feeding AI with chunks of human brains, sort of. So we're talking hybrid freaking supercomputer robotoids, freaking insane. And the neuromorphic network that we're going to talk about, look what it says. They have many brains. Scientists have created a mini brain and combined it with AI to make a hybrid computer that can recognize different people's voices. It's deeper than that, though.
Oh, it is deeper than that. We all know that. So the link is in the chat. You can listen to the full video. But this is operating already, as far as I'm concerned. It's not something that's coming. It's something that's here, and it's only going to get more and more intense. So, here, most Zionists aren't even Jewish. They're American Christians hell-bent on enacting some end times prophecy.
Annihilated, along with the rest of humanity. Zionism does not equal anti-Semitism, and I want to talk about a personal illustration as to why I believe that's the case. See, if you believe that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are basically indistinguishable, then that means that you draw a direct parallel between Jewish ethno-religious identity and political Zionism, or support for the state of Israel. You are essentially saying Zionism and Judaism are the same thing. I can personally confirm this to not be the case because I was raised from birth to be a militant Zionist. See, I grew up in a white evangelical Christian community in the American South. And if you know anything about white Christian evangelicals, then you know that they love Israel. In fact, white American Christian evangelicals like Israel more than American Jews do. They are more likely to oppose a two-state solution, more likely to approve of the actions of the Israeli government, and twice as likely to say that Israel is the God-given homeland of the Jewish people. So why do these non-Jewish Christian white evangelicals support Israel so much? Well, the answer to that question is in and of itself anti-Semitism. You see, Protestant evangelical Christians believe that the book of Revelation in the Bible tells them that the 12 tribes of Israel have to return to the Holy Land and gain full control of Jerusalem and the historical state of Israel in order for the Christian apocalypse to be initiated. Basically, American Christians need the Jews to be in control of Israel in order for Jesus to come back. What happens when Jesus comes back? Well, 1/3 of Jews in Israel are supposed to acknowledge him as Lord and be taken up into heaven. The other 2/3 will be annihilated, along with the rest of humanity. I want you to let that sink in for a second. So you see, Christians don't support Israel because they believe in the inherent worth and value of the Jewish people and their right to exist. White American Protestant Christians support Israel because Jewish people, in their mind, are a chess piece that needs to be moved into the right position in order for them to initiate the Christian apocalypse. A Christian apocalypse that will end up annihilating 2/3 of the Jewish population. Many Jews are right to be extremely skeptical of these fucking weirdos and their fucking weird beliefs about the end times. But not the government of Israel. You see, the government of Israel is incredibly happy to court the support of white evangelical Protestant Christians in America because they form a massive voting bloc in support for Israel. They are the most reliable pro-Israel faction within the United States, and there are a lot of them. The population of pro-Zionist white evangelical Christians in the United States alone is several times larger than the global population of Jews worldwide. So, the next time someone calls you anti-Semitic for being critical of the Israeli state, maybe you should ask them why so many American Christians support Israel, and if they've ever really thought about the reasons for that.
I find that very anti-Christ to be so excited with all of the suffering that is taking place in this prophecy, all of the killing. Yeah, that's what Jesus wants, right? That's what Jesus wants. To annihilate 2/3 of the population. Okie dokie. So, don't know what to do about that. Now, I'm going to play some of this video that was sent to me by a subscriber, and I want to thank that subscriber. Very, very good talk here. Whitney Webb, and goes through the AI. This is why you really need to listen to the AI piece. But I'm going to start here, and this is the world that we're soon, all of us, will be living in. And this is not a world that anybody wants to be living in. I mean, one of the subject matters, AI dystopia. So let's just start it right here.
All right. Well, listen. Let me give us a setup for where I am personally. So, in my very British way, I've struggled to really truly accept where we are in the world. I was born in the 70s, but I'm a child of the 80s, 90s, noughties, which were relatively stable decades. Obviously, we had a crazy Iraq war, which we were allied into. But
Sure.
generally speaking, I thought the most crazy stuff the world had experienced was from the history books. World wars and crazy shit that went on then. Now we're in 2023, and I'm reluctantly accepting that there's these different scenarios I map out in my head. I can see a scenario where parts of the world, a war could escalate into a world war. I am seeing the potential rise of tyranny at a global level because of the state of global economic finance and debt is in. And then I'm also looking at AI and thinking, this AI is pretty cool, but what happens when we put the AI inside a robot and give it a gun? And so now I'm starting to think, hold on, this world's fucking mad. We could be heading to a really dangerous place. What should I be doing? You said you've left the West. If that sounds like you've escaped the West, I'm like, should I be building a bunker in my garden? Should I be stacking tin pineapples? Or do I just sound like some crazy conspiracy theorist? Help me out.
Well, I definitely think it's probably, so think about what happened during COVID, and there were all these signals sent by powerful people that something greater than COVID would soon be upon us, whatever that is. So whether it's a giant war, another world war of that sorts, or, something else, COVID 2.0, what we saw during COVID, insane issues with inflation that persist, right? And insane supply chain issues. It's probably a good idea to have a supply of stuff you need to survive in your house. I mean, for X number of days, weeks, months, whatever. I mean, that's different for every person, but it's definitely not, it's definitely not a bad idea. And I don't think it's a tinfoil hat thing to say like, oh, I'd like to be able to feed my family if they close all the grocery store. I mean, we sort of saw with COVID, like how insane it was. I mean, I live in Chile and in South America. And there, when COVID started, there was some insane stuff there where you had to like show papers to get into grocery stores and stuff for a time. Like that could come back, it's not as crazy now as it might have been like 4 or 5 years ago to talk about that stuff. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared. There's probably something more wrong with being not prepared at all,
Yeah, COVID was probably my biggest wake up call in that I got a lot of stuff wrong. I believed at the time that I was convinced that, a lockdown for 2 weeks, that sounds like a good idea because there's this crazy virus that we're seeing people drop dead in China for. There's problems in Italy. And I think that was my wake up call through all of that. By the time I got to the end of COVID, I was like, oh, you fucking idiot. You've been lied to about everything and you believed everything. And that I think I came out of that with the shit, I don't trust anything anymore.
You probably shouldn't. It's probably safer.
Yeah. So what I don't know, Whitney, when I look at something like COVID, because I can go as far as saying governments are incompetent and I can see the stupidity of the decisions they made.
Sure.
But I know other people go back a step further and go, no. COVID was the plant to test these things. And I don't know how far to go with it.
Yeah, well, it obviously depends on the thing you're talking about. But, a lot of times government incompetence is the excuse. So, just talking about like financial policy and stuff. I think it's easier to pick apart in those cases because you can see the obvious who benefits and who doesn't sometimes more easily. And they'll sort of be like, oh, well, we just, when the Fed printed a bunch of money during COVID and gave it to BlackRock to manage, was that incompetence? Especially when BlackRock wrote a plan at the end of 2019 of the monetary policy that the Fed followed exactly when COVID happened about what the Fed would need to do during an unforeseen crisis. It's just was that incompetence or is that corruption? And so, a lot of times they try and absolve themselves of when they sort of get caught or start to get caught for something corrupt, they'll be like, oh, don't look any further. We're just really stupid, But if you consider just the massive amount of wealth transfer that's happened in the past 20 years to the people at the very top, obviously, well, I think it's obvious, but that can't all have been because of incompetence, and more has come out with COVID too, the safe and effective stuff about the vaccines. And a lot of people in alternative media knew it was experimental and that there wasn't enough testing and stuff. And they were.
I'm going to stop there. This is on YouTube talking about that ditched my channel last night. And it's really, okay. Well, there's a reason why I titled this News and Solutions with a question mark, but I inadvertently clicked off the video that I wanted to show you, so I'm just going to have to postpone it until tomorrow. So, this, and I'm going to say again, I really recommend that you click on the link and listen to this video because they really go through what is coming, what's here, and what is coming. So it's definitely good to have some knowledge base on what will be coming 2024. That's soon. And time does seem to be speeding up for sure. Because I remember it was just December 1, am I saying, what the hell? How did we get here so quickly? And now it's December 23rd? Okay. So, of course, Here, we've got the federal agencies pretty much empty. They're empty. Very few going to work in the buildings. What is going on with our country? But once again, the abject lies about the economy, and lying is very dangerous. This woman is a danger to society.
A recent CNBC survey found nearly 2/3 of Americans disapprove of the president's handling of the economy. What's the disconnect here? What does the president have to do differently so people approve of his handling of the economy?
So there's a lot there, right? We have seen some great data this week that showed that consumer sentiment is up 14% this month, which is the largest jump that we have seen in over a decade. And what that means is that people are spending money, right? Whether it is on toys and appliances that they need for themselves or for the holidays. And so that is important, critically important. And I think the second piece too is that as families are traveling across the country, going home, going back to see the families for the holidays, we have seen gas prices at under $3 at the pump per gallon in 27 states. So this is the work that the president has done. It's incredibly important. 14 million jobs created. That matters, especially as we're going into 2024. Folks are going to probably be looking for jobs. If you think about wages going up, unemployment is under 4%. All of these things matter. So we're going to continue to have those conversations. And the president has said he understands that people still feel like things are still unaffordable. That's why we're working really hard to lower costs.
They feel like things are still unaffordable. They just feel like it. And we had some great data. What an actress this woman is. We had great data this month. American sentiment, they're out buying. They're buying toys or appliances for themselves. Toys. And then she says the holiday shopping. My God, people are stressed beyond belief. I will never understand a people who can listen to lies and just, it's no big deal. It is so flippin' dangerous, so grossly immoral. And here, President Biden's on it.
Where does immigration fall on President Biden's to-do list?
Wow.
He's thinking about a second term.
Yes.
He doesn't have a Congress on his side for this. Where does it fall in terms of a second term?
It is a priority. We know that as it relates to the border security specifically, it is a priority for Americans. That's why, let's not forget, on day one of this president's administration, the first legislation that he put forth to Congress was on immigration reform, a comprehensive immigration reform. So it's about 3 years, and we have not seen any action on that. Right. And we want to work with Congress on that. And so right now, there is, as you all have reported, there's this hopefully a bipartisan agreement that we will get to deal with border security because it's so important. When Congress comes back, we hope Congress takes action on that. But the president is taking this very, very seriously.
Where does immigration fall?
He's taking it very, very seriously. And by the way, this woman does not have black privilege. She's got White House press secretary privilege to lie to the American people. Remember the one before her who was very white, kind of Raggedy Ann looking, lied continuously. So this ain't about her being black. This is about her having no morals, and it's never about the color of one's skin.
About the economy, sir, what's your outlook on the economy next year?
All good. Take a look. Start reporting it the right way.
Mr. President. About the economy, sir, what's your outlook on the economy next year?
All good. Take a look. Start reporting it the right way.
The economy for 2024 it's all good. You just have to report it the right way. I just can't stand the reflection that this has on the American people. And it's all good. So, Marine Park, Brooklyn, New York, migrant families from Floyd Bennett Field are walking around the park holding signs asking for money, food, jobs.
What country you from? You came from the migrants? You came from the migrant centers? From Flatbush Avenue?
Flatbush Avenue.
Yeah. They don't give you no food, no nothing? Let me see. Interesting.
Para qué?
Hey, good luck. Feliz Navidad. Country you from?
Venezuela.
You came from
Venezuela, and they're not the only ones. We have people who are literally going door to door asking for food and clothing. Here. Migrants knocking on doors in Brooklyn after many of them were relocated to a tent shelter at Floyd Bennett Field after hotels in the city became overwhelmed.
I don't feel safe. I don't know. I'm paying a lot of taxes from my salary, and I'm completely transparent to IRS and everything. So I think it's enough what we're already paying, for them to support if we call ourselves a sanctuary city.
Have you seen anything like this happening in your neighborhood before?
No, haven't seen. No.
Do you have any message for President Biden and Mayor Adams?
Secure the border. That's the only message. Secure the border. Start working with the House and everybody. Republicans and Democrats have to unite on this issue, not separate. That's a shame. I don't feel safe. I don't know.
So this is a migrant at his door, and he doesn't feel safe. He's been in Brooklyn in this house for 30 years. It's incredible that it's gotten this bad. So here is Hernando. Is this little boy being trafficked? It's a 6-minute video, which I will link to. You can watch the whole video. But it's quite obvious that we've got an awful lot of trafficking of children going on. Everybody should be upset about that, right? Yes.
PCG is in the house. What does that stand for? PCG.
It's Paramount EMS Consulting Group.
Paramount EMS Consulting Group. Is that like one of the NGOs here?
It is. Thank you.
Well, there you go. Paramount Consulting. Well, I forgot what. No lloras, niño. No llores. No llores, bebé. No llores, niño. Quita las máscaras. Quita las máscaras. No tiene que poner máscaras. Tiene que respirar. Bonsoir, monsieur. Bonsoir, mademoiselle. He's crying. Why? He might be crying because he's being sexually transported to another city and state or maybe another country. No lloras, niño. No llores. No llores, bebé. No llores, niño. Quita las máscaras. Quita las máscaras. No tiene que poner máscaras. Tiene que respirar. Esta gente no sabe lo que están hablando. Custom Border Patrol in the house.
These places are very busy. Buses just keep dropping people off or picking them up, delivering them someplace else. And here, video posted to Facebook has announced a caravan of 5,000 or more departing on Christmas from Tapachula. Other sources are claiming a group of more than 13,000 migrants are preparing the start of a massive caravan. They're rolling them in. I mean, the numbers are staggering. And if you want to listen to this man, I think he's speaking Spanish.
Buenos días, hoy es 23 de diciembre del 2023. Estamos en Tapachula, Chiapas, la frontera sur, el punto cero de la migración. Hoy quiero dejar este video de constancia. Estamos a 23 horas de salir caminando Por la carretera costera de Tapachula, aproximadamente 5,000 migrantes o más los que se nos unan. Yo considero que van a salir más. Buenos días, hoy es 23.
Thousands upon thousands coming across the border every single day. So I posted this on Never Lose Truth 5 earlier. Interesting how migrants who are apparently seeking asylum, fleeing the persecution in their countries, are going back to their countries for Christmas.
So presumably they fled their country under fear of persecution or whatever, but it's safe to go back at Christmas. This is an absolute outrage.
You couldn't actually make this up, could you? Because people are coming here claiming asylum. Now, certainly some of them will be genuinely in fear of their lives. However, if you are in fear of your life, you are not then going to pop home for Christmas, are you?
That's quite right. Okay, so somebody was asking for evidence, and apparently the Luton Airport Border Force chief revealed to GBN that they were flying home for Christmas. No doubt those in the UK are paying for it. Around 2020, Danish Christian children were forced to receive Islam lessons in school. Why? African immigrant destroys Christmas decorations and trees in Empoli.
Questo pezzo di merda. Chiama la polizia. Chiama la polizia, Francesca. Chiama la polizia, Francesca.
Italy. And here, this is a sign, non-U.S. citizens without passports only enter here. Well, they're allowing these migrants with no documentation to get on planes, fly anywhere in the U.S. on the backs of the U.S. taxpayer. Well, there is one thing that you can say about the majority of Americans. They have been socially engineered to never, ever, ever get angry because they think anger is just a bad feeling and you're a bad person for having it. It doesn't matter how much you're being screwed. Never get angry. So this is new. I'd like to understand why all of these Border Patrol stations are closing. This is very concerning. So here, multiple Border Patrol sources confirm that stations across the Del Rio sector have closed. So, we heard the closing, I believe, in Eagle Pass. Got Border Patrol ports of entry closed in Arizona. Now we have more closed in the Del Rio sector. Are they closing them for the migrants? No. But they are closing them for the residents on both sides of the, border. The surge of resources to Eagle Pass, Del Rio sector. Wow. Very concerning. You gotta wonder, are they closing it because they want to keep everybody in, but the migrants are coming through anyway? Italy sends a clear message to Europe and closes 2 mosques. The mayor says, "Why are you... I just have my hand on you, little one. You keep yelling at me." Radical Islam is an enormous danger for our cities, for our history, for our culture, for our freedom.
L'islamismo più integralista che oggi è un pericolo enorme per le nostre città, per i nostri territori, per la nostra storia, per la nostra cultura e per la nostra libertà. E noi ogni giorno lo vediamo in ogni via, in ogni scuola, lo vediamo camminando per le nostre strade. Si manifesta in maniera evidente, si manifesta con la presenza sempre più numerosa delle persone che arrivano. Noi 30.000 abitanti, oggi abbiamo il 30% di stranieri, di cui la maggioranza è islamica, e sono circa 7.000 i residenti, più 2.000 quelli che ogni giorno per tutto l'anno si alternano e si aggiungono a questi numeri.
There are some languages that I just love listening to, French, Italian, and they speak, certainly the Italians, even just when they're, speaking just ordinarily, the common parlance, the just social conversation, they sound so passionate. I love it. But then when they get passionate, whoa, do they sound passionate. So, Monfalcone, you know what, you're getting a little, what? Little one is on my lap. And I guess I got a little bit too passionate with my arms, and I was rocking him back and forth, and he gets upset because how dare you wake me up? Well, go sleep on somewhere else so you're not moved about. 30,000 inhabitants, of which 9,000 are Muslim immigrants. Only 1,700 work. The others are supported by our taxes. And of the 1,700, only 7 are women. In France, the illegal immigrants protest against the law to stop illegal immigrants. That's a mighty big protest. So, illegal migrants protesting against a law to stop illegal immigration. Okay. Things are getting certainly out of hand, rather Orwellian. The wars go on. New footage from Hezbollah. Watch them decimate the Israeli occupation's military watchtowers and surveillance posts in southern Lebanon. oh, this war. But how about that war in Sudan? And it's sounding very much like the war, what the Gazans are experiencing.
I'm about to tell you about one of the world's biggest crises that many people know nothing about. The war in Sudan has seen months of fighting with accusations of ethnic cleansing and millions of people displaced. Here's what you need to know. In April, fighting broke out between Sudan's army, which is led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, which is led by Mohammed Hamdan Daglo. After 7 months of fighting, they're still battling for control of the capital Khartoum, but the RSF now control most of Darfur, and crucially, its border with Chad. The RSF, who are largely formed of Arab groups, are accused of targeting the ethnic African Masali community, killing their civilians, looting their homes, and even sexually assaulting women.
What is happening is verging on pure evil.
One woman even describes how her husband was killed.
They attacked us for 3 days. It was severe. They went door to door, rounding up the men. They took them out and killed them.
The RSF even filmed themselves beating and insulting Masali men in West Darfur as they took control of a key military unit. The situation in Sudan has led to the world's biggest humanitarian crisis, with 20 million Sudanese people going hungry and more than 6 million people forced to leave their homes. Now, more and more people are fleeing this violence to neighboring Chad, and so another generation is suffering in Darfur as the world looks away.
This is what's happening. It's ongoing. And remember this? What was one of those countries that we were going to be taking out, along with Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, and Iran? Sudan.
Right after 9/11, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, don't show it to me."
Ha 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 ha. I love what Americans think is funny. So, yeah. Oh, this should have been organized better, but this is Paris. This is Paris.
Voilà, c'est le bled. On est au bled direct. Je suis arrivé à Salé, Rabat. Oh, c'est quoi ça?
Okay, so getting back to the Sudan, what role does U.S. have in Sudan conflict? If any of you think that what's happening in the Sudan has nothing to do with America, You are very naive. Sudan has long been destabilized by Western powers, with the most recent conflict coming after a deal with Russia. New questions are being asked. And, of course, why the U.S. evacuation from Sudan left Americans behind. 'Cause we don't really care about our own. Most of the estimated 16,000 Americans believed to be in Sudan right now are dual U.S. Sudanese nationals. So this was back in April, and it's still going on. It's still going on. The United States has come under scrutiny for evacuating roughly 70 embassy staff in a helicopter, mission by elite SEAL commandos over the weekend. This was in April, while warning thousands of private American citizens in Sudan there would be no similar evacuation for them. Now, when these kinds of civil wars or wars that break out, I don't know of any other country that leaves their own citizens behind. We do, because we're morally superior and exceptional. As Spain, Italy, and France reject request. Of what? The Pentagons? People are moving away from the good old US of A. US and Israel will be left completely and utterly isolated. Operation Prosperity Guardian falls apart. So, Australia is the latest country to reject a request from the United States to send warships to the Red Sea under the command of the Pentagon's Operation Prosperity Guardian to protect commercial vessels along the critical maritime trade route in the Red Sea. Okay, so what's going on? Reuters said about 20 countries had signed up for the Pentagon's new operation. However, several countries, including Australia, Spain, Italy, France, have rejected that request to participate in the operation. Operation Prosperity Guardian in the Red Sea has practically collapsed, as France, Spain, and Italy have all announced their withdrawal from the U.S. command structure for the operation. They say that they will, under the command of NATO and or the European Union, but not the United States. Well, NATO is pretty much the United States. So, I think all of this is orchestrated to let the world know that we don't have friends. We don't have friends. Hell, we don't even have friends amongst our friends when you realize that you have a population of people who don't know who they are. You cannot have a genuine, authentic friendship with people who don't know who they are. You can have superficial relations that you call friends. U.S., Russia, again, clash over Gaza. Another United Nations Security Council resolution was passed, but the U.S. and Russia abstained from the vote, abstaining with differing reasons. The U.S. is angry. It didn't specifically condemn. How many times do you have to condemn the October 7 Hamas attack? I guess you have to condemn it all the time. While Russia is unhappy that the final resolution watered down any real call for urging a ceasefire. So isn't it interesting how Russia and China put themselves out? They present themselves as the good guys now. Now, all of these countries do work together, but they're the good guys, and the United States is showing how evil it is. Well then, go. Little one doesn't seem to be happy with me tonight. Sorry. I do try my hardest. So, yeah, and there's always a tweet. This is, what is it? What's her title? President of the EU? The head of the EU? Writes, Russia's attack against civilian infrastructure, especially electricity, are war crimes. Cutting off men, women, children of water, electricity, and heating with winter coming. These are acts of pure terror, and we have to call it as such. Okay, that was in October of 2022. Has she said the same about Israel? No. No. Something is so grossly wrong with our world. Something is so grossly wrong with humanity, for sure, that we allow these people to behave as they do. They only get the power from the people who consent to their behavior, who bow down, remain silent, consent, are complicit with, join hands. That's where they get their power. And, I'll again link below to my Twitter page, which, wow. Twitter is really, between the migrants and what's happening in Gaza, I wish I saw more about Sudan, because you have to put a search word in to get that information, but it's horrifying that the farmers in Germany are shutting down roads and highways in protest over fuel subsidy cuts. Good. I love seeing people take action, whether they get the results or not. My hat's off. Much respect. You take the action, you let go of the result. Saudi Arabia, look at this. Okay, so much for Saudi Arabia being a desert. Not so much anymore. Must be climate change. Look at this. Turning it into an ocean. No doubt destroying an awful lot of farmland. And this man, much respect, because it takes an awful lot of courage to confront people.
How How many children need to die in Gaza before you call for a ceasefire? How many children need to die? How many children need to die in Gaza before you call for a ceasefire? Almost 5,000 children are dead, and you're acting as if it's business. How many children need to die?
Well, this might have been a while ago, but it's over 8,000 children have died, and it might even be more. Democratic Senator Jack Reed interrupted at a defense summit. Look, we are just an evil, violent country. You can't deny that. Israel targets a telecommunications team trying to restore the internet. Three men tortured and killed by Indian occupation forces in Kashmir. I'm not even going to show that. It's remarkable how effed up people are. Israel bulldozes houses and celebrates. They want Palestine to be totally unlivable so they can steal more land. The Israeli army is using food bait, putting a bag of flour near a bakery. Anyone who approaches it is sniped and shot. About 15 people killed are located near the bakery. Well, considering everything else that I have seen that has been verified, this smacks of being true. Considering how many people I have heard, Israelis, the Zionists, calling Palestinians animals. This is what people do to attract deer, the hunters. If they put out corn or something, and then the deer come to eat it and they shoot them. Yeah, that's real hunting. Oh, I can't. It's Christmas Eve, and I hear the church bells ring joyously out of my window while Zionism bombs churches in Gaza. Here's our mass shooting in Florida. Multiple injuries, the majority. This is ongoing every single day, like 24/7. Well, I can't show an awful lot of these because it's just, I'll get a community guideline strike. But here, developing Times Square, New York, had a blackout that came back online with images of Jesus Christ and the true meaning of Christmas. They don't have anything to do. Christmas doesn't have anything to do with Jesus, but hey, let's just remain playing American holidays, Christian holidays. It's such Easter. Let's just eat a lot of chocolate and I don't know. I have to say, though, I do like the fact, that it brings a smile to people's faces, and I just wish, and you don't have to be Christian, you sure as hell don't have to label yourself Christian, that, there's no other myth or real, it doesn't matter. Jesus Christ, we all know, we don't even have to, do much digging to find out what that myth or real man was. For sure, the most powerful example to all of mankind in how to live your life. How to live your life. That's what I'd love to see more of. 99th journalist killed. The 99th journalist killed. They really are going after the press. South Oxfordshire.
Hands, hoist the colors high, heave ho.
I don't know if that's copyright material, that song, but look at this guy. Really? Okay. Humanity is under attack? Absolutely. But, this has been going on for such a long time that humanity has literally put themselves, made themselves subject for attacks.
In the United Kingdom, there was a headline that said that breathing causes climate change. The "you're the carbon they are trying to reduce" meme is becoming a little too real for my liking. But we have to think about what that means. We now live in a time where we have to justify our entire existence to our Malthusian overlords. And so I cannot stress enough, ladies and gentlemen, how critical it is that we recognize and reject the manipulative argumentation that they confront us with. What the people who use these types of arguments are trying to instill in you is that your rights are dependent on your compliance and your obedience. But if there is one thing that your founding fathers understood, it is that your rights are your rights, not because the government says so, but because God says so.
Well, that's quite right, we did fail to secure them. Sometimes you just get really tired of all of it. I got really tired of all of it today. Three Israeli Holocaust scholars are suing Biden and Blinken for their complicity in the genocide.
What is going on right now is a textbook case of genocide. And I can explain why. This isn't just me pontificating from an armchair analysis. These are Holocaust scholars, three of which have actually put forward a case against Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden for complicity in genocide. They have actually set formal charges. These are Holocaust scholars that are Israeli historians asserting this. So not only that, but of course you have the crime of apartheid. These are the most serious crimes against humanity. So I could talk about context all day long. I could talk about context behind the October 7th attack. But all of that is kind of pushed to the side when you see what is Israel doing in response right now, and that is committing genocide against the Palestinians.
I guess the response that they would say is that if they wanted to do a genocide, they would have done it already. They're basically saying their argument is we're responding to this attack. We're trying to get rid of Hamas, and our mission is to eradicate the leadership of Hamas and Hamas fighters, and they embed themselves with civilians. This is what is out there as the party line, and this is what is being said. I'm sure there's some, there's elements of truth to everything, right? So they're basically saying Hamas's, command centers are all under hospitals. I don't know if this is, obviously you're familiar with that. And is this something that is well known? Is this true in your estimation?
So, okay, they say that they are targeting Hamas.
Right.
Right now, during the 4-day truce, we've seen kind of the death toll be accounted for at this moment, now that the hospitals that have been bombed relentlessly are able to finally account for the dead. 20,000 civilians have been killed. 20,000 people have been killed. They claim 1,000 were fighters. So right out of the gate, that's an extraordinary amount of civilians, 70% women and children.
Yeah.
8,000 children. 8,000 children. You have UN officials, you have people who have documented war zones all over the world saying this is unprecedented. This is an unprecedented amount of carnage. It's a bloodbath and it's a slaughterhouse, and they have never seen anything like it. So for Israel to claim that they are targeting Hamas, it doesn't really make sense when you look at the complete destruction and leveling of civilian areas. They are targeting hospitals. They are targeting schools. They're targeting mosques where they know tons of civilians are sheltering there. Hamas is underground. So why would you level the entirety of the infrastructure on top of Gaza if you're trying to target fighters underground?
So that interview was during the 4-day truce, and she said 8,000 children. I didn't want to say this figure, but I think I had a vague remembrance of 10,000. But it's above 8,000, for sure. No. They are literally wanting to bring Gaza to its knees, level it. And here, breaking report. All right, Republican purportedly not an option for the 2024 presidential race in California, for those who choose not to select an overall party. How can something like this be legally justified? Democrat Party, American Independent Party, Libertarian Party. Well, what did we hear from Joe? Early on, after he, supposedly took the oath of office, he was asked by a reporter, are you going to be running? You going to run against Trump? Well, we don't even know if there's going to be a Republican Party. There you go. Register. But you're not going to register a Republican, apparently. Wow. So this was in the UK, the video that I had a conversation with one of the subscribers in the UK today, and I mentioned this.
Fucking quick! Oh, fuck it! Fucking wankers!
We've all seen this unprecedented levels of looting throughout the U.S., and it's coming to the UK as thieves become more brazen in the realization they will never face any legal repercussions. Well, they are literally turning our countries into just hellgates. These are the farmers in Germany. Look at this. They're all out. High fashion in Germany. Isn't this just fabulous, what's happening? Argentina's new government. Yay! He was a libertarian. Unprecedented. This guy got in as a libertarian in Argentina on all of those bullshit statements he made. Yay, I'm going to vote for him. Yay, yay, yay. Argentina's new government says it will punish protesters by taking away their welfare payments. Yay! And this, man, all right, this is yet another reflection of the American people who can sit there and listen to this woman. She is bona fide, just violently mentally ill.
Remember when I told you Putin hit rock bottom? Hamas invaded Israel and did all that brutality on October 7th. October 7th is Putin's birthday. Who's the happiest person in the world right now? Putin. Why? Because the U.S. and the West took all their eyes off of Ukraine, and what did we do? Started looking at Israel. Did Putin call Netanyahu? Nope, not for 10 days. You know who he did call? Hamas. They came the next day and they held hands and said they were friends. We now know the Russian intelligence is what helped Hamas know how to get through that barrier. See the connection. If we supported Ukraine and supported Israel, that's only 5% of our defense budget.
War-mongering, just immoral, doesn't have a moral core. These people are profoundly sick. They are truly profoundly sick. D-Day in Europe. D-Day at the U.S. border. Massive wave of illegal aliens in Lukeville. Look at this. Arizona. This was yesterday. Wow. Well, I'm just scrolling through my Twitter page, and I'm going to put the link in because I do retweet quite a lot. Never really get a response, but if you want to just check out a whole lot that's going on around the world, you can just click on the link and scroll on down.
Call Black Lives Matter terrorists for asking for them to be free to step out the door without undue process of being murdered in the streets. And so as someone who sits on this panel freely and with consent representing the black populace,
No, you do not represent the black populace. You represent an official narrative that is based on lies. That's what you represent. I am so sick of any individual claiming that they represent their entire group when we all know that they don't.
Black person, I find it really hard to have conversations and see these opinions from people who do not look like me and don't share that lens and that reality of that fear walking out the house.
I may not look like you, Taisha, but I'm just going to give you some numbers, and numbers have no color. They don't lie. There are 328 million people in America. There are 41.4 million black people in America, which is 12.6% of the population. Yet 12.6% of the population is committing more than 50% of violent crime in this country. 9 unarmed black men were killed by police in 2019. 9 unarmed. Now, unarmed doesn't mean innocent. Unarmed doesn't mean not a threat. So last year, 0.00022% of the black population was an unarmed black person killed by the police. That is why we are burning America to the ground. That is why we are creating this false narrative of black people being attacked by police based off of 0.00022% of the black population. This represents 0.1% of all black homicides in the entire year of 2019. A police officer is 18.5 times more likely to be killed by a black man than a black man is to be killed by a police officer. The number of unarmed black Americans killed by police is down 23% since 2015 when Barack Obama was the president. And 93% of black homicides are committed by other black Americans. So if you truly care about black lives, I suggest you get to Chicago, because every weekend dozens of black people are being killed by other black people. The Black Lives Matter movement is the greatest lie ever told, ever believed, and we are burning our country down for no reason whatsoever.
That's absolutely true. We know it. We know it. Local, state, and federal governments have done practically nothing for the residents of Maui in the past several months. Over 800 small businesses have now closed down. Thousands of residents have already been forced off the island. Whew. That's a wrap from Eagle Pass, Texas. Taking a much-needed break, Auden Cabello. From the madness at the border. And Syrians cross the U.S.-Mexico border? Did I play this? Maybe not.
Your hat was in your bag too. homie? Can you take a picture? Pick up your glasses. Passport. You got money? Okay, no. That, put it in your backpack.
She gets some Middle Eastern.
How much America?
Names are like Aziz and stuff like that. Is that a cross?
Oh, this is going to be sweet. Coming from Syria, coming from all of these countries that we have literally destroyed. Yeah, they love us. I actually did post a video on whites raiding a store. This was in New York. Blues de Jours. You like that, chemtrail? Okie dokie. Rochester, New York. Wow. Look at this. I remember those years. I remember posting all of these geoengineering videos. The anomalies that have just become so common that you can't even claim that they're anomalies anymore. So one plane, no contrail. The other plane, wow, a very, very long contrail. Look at this beauty. Wow. Yep. Gotta wonder how it is that people see these things and they're not horrified by it. Yeah, and I'm going to end with this. Unbelievable.
16.8 million, as confirmed by the Department of Justice, of the 18.4 million worldwide reports of child sexual abuse material are on Facebook. If you enact end-to-end encryption, what will become of the children who will be harmed as a result that they're not reported?
Congresswoman, thanks. Child exploitation is one of the most serious threats that we focus on.
What is Facebook doing? 16.8 of the 18.4 million.
Well, Congresswoman, the reason those reports come from Facebook, the reason why the vast majority come from Facebook is because I think we work harder than any other company to identify this behavior and report it to NCMEC
are you doing to shut this down? What's going to happen of these children? They won't be reported then. And you are responsible. Facebook is responsible for 16.8 million of the 18.4.
I think you're right.
What are you going to do to shut it down, Mr. Zuckerberg?
We're working with law enforcement and building technical systems to identify.
Well, you're not working hard enough, sir. And end-to-end encryption is not going to help the reporting process.
Do you think he's a real guy? Do you think he's human? Because he has always looked just like a robot to me. Just doesn't look real. Okay, is this self-promotion? by leaving my link to Rumble in the chat? No, but I need... Yeah. I need the support. I need the support. And I can't guarantee that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and even have this channel still operating on YouTube. So I hope that all you have to do is click and then follow. That's it. Click, follow. For some reason that, I guess, is hard for people, but you guys stay safe. Thank you for showing up, and I hope to see you tomorrow. And on that note, I say good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.